The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
All right, continued Merry Christmas to all. Welcome to the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts. And to my right, one of the co-hosts. To my right, it's the man who got a whole bunch of coal for Christmas, but that's okay because he wanted it anyway for a smoker. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's great to be back on the airwaves and the video waves and all the different kind of waves with you. It feels like we haven't done the show in a while, and it feels like putting on a nice, comfortable pair of sweatpants. Apropos of the holiday season, because I gained 4 pounds in Chex Mix over the holiday break. I am continuing to celebrate. I was just at my uncle's restaurant, Chez Nous. If you're in the Capital District area, go to Schenectady. You will not be disappointed. I am biased, yes, but my uncle knows what the heck he's doing in the kitchen. He makes pasta every day from scratch, fresh bread from scratch. Prices are reasonable. I had steak and lobster tail last night. Get it on. Go try it out. And if you're at the bar, you'll be dealing with my cousin Ashley. Very pleasant, very nice.
Very nice, very evil.
Yeah. But
if you get the reference, we know. we know the comments.
Christmas has been good. It's been relaxing. But I'm very ready to jump back into some things with you. But I must confess, I did not watch the Christmas Day games. The venue where I was at, my sister. Well, I saw that because, oh man, what a 2 points, Texans 2. But Ryan, how was your Christmas? I hope you got to spend some time with family and everything else.
Yeah, I get to spend part of the day with my parents. We did brunch with them. My sister and I did brunch with them. We had a Christmas tradition, watching Mixed Nuts, which is a movie that we all always watch on Christmas Day because it's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
If you're into dry comedy, it's based off of a French play. This is for you. And I just realized it was released in 1994. So.
Oh wow.
You want to see a very young Steve Martin who really hasn't aged since like the 1970s.
Yeah, he looks the same. He looks the same to me as he did in Father of the Bride all those years ago.
Yeah. So it's, Steve Martin, Madeline Kahn, God rest her soul, Gary Shandling, God rest his soul, Juliette Lewis, Liev Schreiber in drag, Adam Sandler. Yeah. So yeah, Ross the Boss Ray. One of his first movie roles was in drag.
Oh man, I've never seen this. I gotta go back and watch this because that's a heck of a cast right there. Madeline Kahn, most memorable role for me is Mrs. White in the Clue movie. You ever watch the movie Clue?
Yeah, I remember Clue. That's a cult classic in my house. And I was going to say Lily Von Stupp from Blazing Saddles too.
Oh,
so
yep. Man, I gotta watch that. I haven't heard of that, so I got some Christmas homework here. That's not. I have my rotation. I did watch Home Alone. We watched Christmas Vacation, of course.
Yep.
Ate a bunch of soups with my dad and his side of the family, and my brother. I was proud of him. He flew in from Carolina. He came into the house in the bunny suit from A Christmas Story. It was pretty good. Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
It was pretty good.
Christmas Eve was Elf. Christmas Vacation. I started Die Hard at 9:57 and 32 seconds because at midnight, that's when Hans Gruber falls from Nakatomi Plaza.
Oh,
yes,
man.
It's a Christmas movie. And Wednesday, Watch Christmas Story. Watch Garfield Christmas.
Oh, you
watch
gotta
Garfield
love Garfield Christmas.
I'll be 40 years old next year.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. I mean, but that's my number one Christmas special. There's a lot of great ones, but Garfield Christmas is a staple.
Yeah,
I grew up with it, literally, because I'm 41.
Same.
That movie's gonna be 40. So
yeah, I am. I'd say. Let me think. So after my parents went to my brother's and enjoyed Christmas with them, with him and his in-laws, which was it's always a blast. And we played What Do You Meme with the matriarch of the family, and she says she hates these games, but she always wins. So Janet, if you're watching, and apparently I was supposed to do a segment with her because apparently I'll bring in views or listens. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
All right. Hey,
we gotta get moving here. So in the meantime, take care of some business. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used TikTok @NoCredsREQ, and youtube.com/NoCreds @NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Pandora, and get yourself notified on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X. And on YouTube. That way you know when the show goes live, when the videos are coming up, when there's show announcements. Get notified on those particular social media channels. Also on the podcast side, rate and review. A 5-star rating will be very helpful. And you can also leave a comment. You can leave comments in Spotify if you're a Spotify listener. This week I released an audio only edition with our friend of the show, Tom Gosgoslowski, who's back on the airwaves starting next week, full-time starting next week. He was back on Monday. If you didn't listen to Levac and Goz on Monday, whoo boy, you missed a show. You missed a show. But we pre-recorded and we did a year in review for national sports stories and Capital Region sports stories in 2024. Our top 5 most notable news stories for both national and local. So go back and not right now, but go back and listen to the show. Again, leave a rating, leave a review, leave a rating, leave a comment. And speaking of comments, we're a live show on Tuesdays. Although this Tuesday we'll be going early. We're going on Monday instead of Tuesday because New Year's Eve is on Tuesday, and if you're going live on New Year's Eve, you're a psychopath. So we're gonna do a Monday show instead, but we'll go back to our Tuesday show starting in the new year. Also Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern, and the occasional happy hour Fridays. We're gonna probably try to do that more during the season, during the year next year. But engage with the show. We've already got a comment coming in the comment section. Engage with the show. Leave a comment. And I know I don't have a holiday edition of this, Dustin, but I know you missed these chimes. You missed chime time. And it's chime time right now.
Yeah, it's right on time for chime time.
Chime time. And yes, as I mentioned, we have a comment in the comment section already from Sapna, the pink hand of Sapna, chiming in saying, "Sports ball!" Yes, indeed. All right, we're going to lead off today. We're going to try not to get too deep into this, but
we always do.
We always do anyway. We're going to start off with our usual Saturday staple of hot food takes. And this time around, we're talking about Christmas dinner. Dustin came up with threw a text to me on, I think it was Thursday, and said, "Yeah, I got a great idea for Saturday's hot food takes, Christmas dinner." I'm like, all right, let's go with it. So what do you have in mind, and what were you thinking about for Christmas Saturday?
Well, okay, so for me, since I figured we should do like a holiday theme thing because we're coming off the holiday season now. New Year's is going to close it out next week, and then you have to deal with just the bleak days of January, and the only thing you cling to is playoff football. But anyway, I was thinking usually from research that I have done most families I have talked to have some version of either prime rib for Christmas dinner, ham. People do so we'll do prime rib / steak, ham, And then all the way at the bottom is roast chicken / turkey. So I figured of those 3 options, we could rank them. We could rank them as far as, and spoiler alert, to start it off, prime rib is the Christmas dinner. Christmas dinner is what I want to have. It is prime rib all the time. Often it is not made, though, because if you're having a lot of people for your Christmas dinner, it can get expensive. It's a expensive cut of meat, and it also takes some time to prepare, although it is not as hard as people think it's going to be. Do a garlic butter rub with some rosemary in it. You'll be all right. Will you do the low and slow and then reverse sear it? That's one option. People got a lot of ways to cook prime rib, but prime rib, number 1 with a bullet. That's what I think of when I think of the holidays. I will put ham at number 2 because ham, I do enjoy ham. I think it is the often forgotten meat. The only other time where I see ham emerge, at least in my family life and stuff, is Easter. Easter ham seems to be a staple for Easter, but not much else. So I give it a nod here at Christmas. If ham's on the table, Christmas dinner, I'm not going to mind. Here's where we get to the turkey / chicken conundrum. Now, I eat chicken quite frequently. I love a good roast chicken. I love fried chicken. I love chicken tenders, all of it, everything. But I must say, because, and I have no disrespect to turkey. This is no disrespect to turkey, but this is largely, a lot of people have turkey for Thanksgiving. More people are switching it up at Thanksgiving, and there's the Italian style Thanksgivings, and there's all different types now. But turkey is still number 1 at Thanksgiving. So to me, to have turkey for Christmas dinner, you're just kind of doing like a repeat of what you did a month ago. I love a turkey dinner, but I'm not going to do that. So I would put chicken ahead of turkey. I'd rather go with a roast chicken and, make it a little fancier than normal. And maybe you cook some really fancy sides. And then turkey is last for me. But you look like you have a lot to say, Ryan. So I'm going to let you cook, as the kids say.
Well, of course, because it's dinner, cooking dinner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, thinking about the categories you put in there for dinners, right?
Yeah.
So I can't put prime rib in there because the reason why I can't put prime rib in there is because I've never had prime rib at Christmas time.
Oh,
I know you just got taken aback by that.
I thought you were going to say I've never had prime rib. Period.
No.
We're going out for prime rib dinner tomorrow.
That was like, here we go, Dustin. So I got one for you. Here's a prime rib. Since you talk about prime rib,
yeah.
Do you prefer mid cut or end cut?
I like the mid cut myself. But the end cut, sometimes you get a nice little bit of that crust on there. Ooh.
That's why I get the end cut. Yeah, but I've never had it. I mean, I love me some prime rib, but I've never had it for Christmas dinner. Mm-hmm. I've had pot roast. I wanted to make short ribs this year.
Ooh, braised.
I wanted to make braised short ribs for my parents this year, but we got invited to my brothers, so we decided to take it easy. We're just gonna do brunch with my mom and dad. We just did that. But I made short ribs I made braised short ribs for the first time back in, I think, October or early November, and I was like, I'm making this again. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta try it. That's one thing. I have a Dutch oven. I'm looking to jump into that in the new year. Did you do it Dutch oven, or how did you braise it?
I did not. I wanted to do a Dutch oven style, but the pots that I have, you can put them in the oven, but only up to 300 degrees. And this recipe, you only had it for 330. So I put it in a roasting pan. It still worked though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It still worked. But yeah, unfortunately I can't put not ranked prime rib only because I haven't had it for Christmas dinner. But continuing on. I guess at number 3. All right, I'm gonna have my personal list here. So,
all right,
I'm trying to think of all those Christmas dinners I've had going back a ways. So number 3, steak. My dad my dad has back before he retired and had to, because of his Parkinson's, he made steak. Like he would make a steak and he would rice the potatoes. He would make Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
For my sister and my mom and I.
Yeah.
So he either make steak, and number two, actually that'll be number 4. So number 4 will be steak, a nice little T-bone steak, mashed potatoes, broccoli, or vegetable. Do it up. Number 3, I'm gonna go with number 3, turkey. And I know you mentioned that it's kind of, you always had turkey a month ago. It's still good.
Yeah,
It's still good.
it is.
Because you get all, think of all the leftovers you have. Make yourself a nice turkey sandwich, a little bit of stuffing, a little cranberry, a little gravy. Get yourself a nice open face sandwich or a closed face sandwich, depending on how you feel.
Yeah.
So turkey, versatility. Number two, I'm gonna put ham/pork roast. Anything pork in the same category. Pork chops, pork tenderloin, ham, pork steak. I want to do that next year. Pork steak.
All right. Yeah. Pork steak. I'm with you.
Anything pork, number 2. And number 1 is chicken. And I say chicken because a couple of years ago, for Christmas dinner, I made chicken parmesan.
Ooh, yeah, that's good. That's okay. The Italian angle, I like it. I like it.
Yep. So I made chicken parm with penne pasta, a little bit of marinade, a little bit of pasta sauce. Great dinner.
Yeah,
great dinner.
Yeah, that's good. And you know what? If
I breaded it myself, I breaded the chicken myself. I cut the chicken, I breaded it, I put it in the air fryer. That makes a nice chicken parm sandwich. And then you broil, then you put sauce and cheese on, put it under the broiler for about a minute or 2. Good stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're planting a seed for me, because as you know, I usually have you over for Wild Card Weekend. Maybe I have to make some chicken parm sandwiches.
Chicken parm sandwich grinders. Yeah, so that's my power ranking in terms of protein, but in terms of protein for Christmas dinner. But yeah, I mean, some year I'll have to do some prime rib, because I think I told you what happened on Thanksgiving, didn't I?
Yeah. The weather.
I couldn't make it, and I had to go to. I went to the local Hannaford, and I was gonna get a standing rib roast, but for like a 5-pound rib roast, it was $54. So I just went with a pork roast instead, and that was delightful. So yeah, that's Christmas dinner here for this edition of Hot Food Takes. We actually didn't go deep, into it this time. Like we did cereal.
Yeah, no, cereal was personal for both of us, I think.
I think you're right. We got some comments in the comment section. Daniel Smooth saying, "Gentlemen, commence nonsense." We've already started. Dude, where you been?
We're there with the nonsense, my friend.
You were about 12 minutes late, my friend. He also says chicken and waffles belongs in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
I would agree.
He says for prime rib end cut, makes a fantastic sandwich with roasted onions and spinach and spicy mayo, believe it or not.
Oh, I'd be all over that, Staniel. Unlike the food combo that you let divulge during last night's episode of Seahawks Sessions. What is it? Tune in to find out, but I was taken aback.
Oh my God. Yeah, I hold the mayo for me, but yeah, a prime rib end cut with roasted onions and spinach. That sounds pretty good. Like a pretty good sandwich.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna dive into Week 17 in the NFL. We're gonna start on Wednesday, the ugly Christmas sweater games, and I say ugly Christmas sweater because neither of these games were particularly appealing, and I'll tell you why. So I'll confess, I missed most of the first half. I pretty much missed the entire first half of the Chiefs-Steelers game. I tuned in from about because again, we're watching Mixed Nuts. That's our Christmas movie, Christmas tradition. Watch Mixed Nuts, enjoy brunch, and we tuned in about the middle of the third quarter, And by that time, I think Kansas City was up. I want to say they were up by 8.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was 6. It was 6. It was 16-10. And Kansas City was driving. They scored a touchdown. They went for the 2-point conversion, and they missed the 2-point conversion to go up 2 scores, but it didn't matter because Kansas City's defense came to play. They forced a fumble from I think it was a Pat Fryermuth on a 3rd and long. Scored a touchdown after that. I think Travis Kelce got his 1,000th reception. I believe Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have the most touchdowns combined for a combination in Chiefs history now, because he scored a touchdown. Kelce scored a touchdown. Chiefs defense is legit. I'll say this: I thought Pittsburgh was going to play a lot closer, but Pittsburgh's defense was good. TJ Watt was held in check all game long. They had no sacks. No turnovers in this game, I believe. Kansas City's defense is legit. Even in garbage time, they were still playing great. And you know how ugly this game was?
How ugly?
How ugly was it? It ended on a penalty. The game ended on a runoff because it was less than 10 seconds left. There's 2 seconds left. And the Steelers committed an illegal formation, which resulted in a false start, which took the time off the clock. Game over. And I couldn't tell. And I'll say, so we talked about this last month with the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight about how the streaming quality for Netflix was terrible. There was a lot of buffering. I think I saw it buffer at my parents' house. I saw it buffer only once.
Okay.
So Netflix, all right, solid job with the broadcasting. So I didn't notice any buffering at all when I was at my brother's house watching the other game, which we'll get to in a minute. But that's how bad this game was, because I couldn't tell if Netflix didn't have enough field microphones on the field where you can get the crowd. But it just seemed like when I tuned in, all the way from the middle of the 3rd quarter on, the crowd at Heinz Field was just it was silent. It felt like nobody was at that stadium.
Wow.
Nobody. Because the crowd got taken out that early in the game.
Yeah, and I think for as much as everybody who is not a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, if you are a fan of another team in the NFL, you feel the same way I do right now. I hate to admit it, but I think the Chiefs are starting to find their stride. As much as a team with their record can be still finding their stride, I think we would all admit they haven't, especially offensively, looked like the Chiefs of old. They're starting to do it now. And I think we might be in for another Chiefs Super Bowl. There's a very good chance, and I don't want to stomach it. I want somebody else there. But hey, if you hate them so much, beat them. And so far, but it looks like they're finding their stride.
Yeah, and they've clinched home field.
Yeah,
they clinched home field in this game. So Buffalo Bills can't catch up to them. Even though they have the tiebreaker, they can't catch up to them. But yeah, that's how this game was. Just Heinz Field crowd. I don't call it Acrisure Field. I still call it Heinz. I'm gonna call it Heinz Field until it's over. Yeah, this crowd was dead. This crowd they got taken out. The crowd got taken out early. I don't know if it's because it was a Wednesday game or it was just the fact that Kansas City was just playing that well. It was not fun if you were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Let's put it that way. And then the following game, Baltimore against Houston. You want to talk about? I thought it was going to be a somewhat better. No. No, it was not.
Yeah.
Baltimore's defense held Houston in check. Baltimore's offense stomped all over the Texans defense. It was the Derrick Henry show. It was Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right, a little bit of Lamar sprinkled in here and there. And Baltimore is starting to find their stride too.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they now have the lead in the AFC North. So they can win the division. I believe I think they need to win and have Pittsburgh lose. Pittsburgh plays Cincinnati in week 18, and Baltimore plays Cleveland in week 18. By the way, no Monday night games, no Thursday night games. They both end this week. So, but all 32 teams will be playing on Sunday, next Sunday. Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Good happen for that. But this game was it was not good. It was not good. I think the only highlight for the Houston fans was that Beyonce had a concert at halftime. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah. She was out there with Shabuzi and other a bunch of other people.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
It may be my age, and maybe just I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, because I'm right there with you. But man, I thought this game would be more competitive too. Now, I didn't see it because sometimes you got to read the venue, people, okay? It was Christmas time. My sister has a strong dislike for football. Watching football is about the last thing she's going to want to do on Christmas, and we were watching Christmas specials, Home Alone among them. So I did not see any football games, but when I saw this score, I'm going, the Texans, were they not in the division that they are in, they would be in trouble. Yeah. For sure. They have fallen back to earth a little bit, and I picked them to go to the AFC Championship game, and I don't think that's going to happen. Jeez.
Yeah, I think the fact that Tank Dell is out for the year, Stephon Diggs is out for the year, it just leaves C.J. Stroud. That left C.J. Stroud vulnerable for targets.
Yeah. And it also kind of relegates, because Joe Mixon, if you have those two wideouts there, heck, even if you have Tank Dell, or Stephon, if it was just one of them, it's proven that Joe Mixon, he can be a nice complement, and he can kind of catch people off guard, because you still have to factor in for the pass. But Joe Mixon as the only option, and then it's just C.J. Stroud and a bunch of targets, it's not going to work. They don't have the balance that they've had. They don't have the multiple ways to attack you. Defenses can kind of zero in. No,
and it made the Texans, you stop the run, it's going to make Texans one-dimensional, and everybody's talking about, people are on social media talking about, oh, CJ Stroud, I think we totally over-evaluated him. We thought he was going to be the guy, this and that. I'm like, he's missing his best targets. Yeah. Okay. He's missing his best receivers. His two best receivers are gone for the year. Yep. And it's unfortunate, but you miss your best two targets, and you're going to be struggling a little bit. So yeah, I'll just talk about, all this talk about CJ Stroud, maybe we were singing his praises too soon. It's like, guys, it's a sophomore year.
Yeah.
The Texans are still in the playoff picture. I believe they've actually clinched the AFC South, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think they have, because the Colts had their chances and they blew them both.
Yes.
So I think the Texans have clinched it.
Yeah. So the Texans, they'll be one of the weaker home teams, hosts, for when they go to the playoffs. Playoffs. Like, can we calm down, like an evaluation of CJ Stroud for a minute? But let's talk about Baltimore. Baltimore just looked awesome in this game, offensively, defensively. They took the Texans to the woodshed. And if I look at the stats were incredible. Okay, so it's 31-2. Two. This was incredible. Let's a total box score, right? Baltimore. Derrick Henry, 147 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson, 87 rushing yards. As a team, they had 251 total rushing yards, 43 attempts, averaging 5.8 rushing yards per rush. It was ugly. And Lamar Jackson didn't have to do too much. He was he was 10 for 15 for 168 yards passing. Still had 2 touchdowns. Now, on Houston's side of the ball, this is how good the defense was playing for Baltimore. They sacked C.J. Stroud 5 times. They limited rushing. Houston had 58 total rushing yards. That's how good the balance on those both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
The offense eating up yards, with the defense getting off the field. And if I look at time of possession, Baltimore had it in leaps and bounds. 35 minutes and 21 seconds was our time of possession.
Jeez. That's about it. That game is as one-sided as you can get, pretty much.
And they were averaging 7.1 yards per play.
There were 3 yards shy of a first down on every single play. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That is ridiculous. That basically, so you put together 7 yards per pass play ish, and then over 5 yards a carry on the ground. That means you're basically getting a first down every 2 plays. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to the Thursday night game. Before we do that, we got some more comments sprinkling in. Julie from Michigan saying, "Hello, gentlemen. I'm glad you're back." Thank you, Julie. We appreciate you tuning in. We had 10 days off not 10 days off. We had 8 days off. So last time we were on was last Friday night.
Yep.
And we took Tuesday off because who's streaming on Christmas Eve? Nobody. And then we decided we're gonna come back on Saturday. So nice little Christmas break for the both of us.
Yeah. And Julie, thank you for stopping by Extra Life 2024, the sequel. It was nice to have you in there. Plus, she was keeping me updated with football scores of the games that were going on that day because I wasn't watching. And she also had a Invader Coffee ad in there for me in the chat because I was drinking Invader to get through the stream. So the people's generosity, thank you very much. I was able to hit my goal, and it's thanks to people like Julie for spreading the word, donating, stopping by. I appreciate it.
All right. Sick Diggy joining us from Norway says, "Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." It's currently the afternoon in Norway. So thanks for joining in there, Sick. I believe I looked up the translation for Norwegian for Merry Christmas has said God Jul. So that's Merry Christmas and according to Google Translate. I don't know if it's
I'm glad that you went out on that limb and not me. I would have failed.
He also says at least the Texans NRG Stadium wasn't experiencing any buffering with Netflix, unlike the Cowboys AT&T Stadium in November.
Yeah.
And he says it seems like the Texans weren't in the game. No, and according to the stats that I see here. And your Uncle Al chiming in saying, "Old Dusty sleep deprivation." I see you yawning.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. All right. Moving on to Thursday night, the ugly Boxing Day game, because it was Boxing Day in the Commonwealth, but not in the United States. But I'm going to call it Boxing Day anyway, because it's after Christmas. Seahawks at Bears. Dustin, I believe you touched upon a lot of this game during the Seahawks sessions on Friday. But you watched the entire game.
I did.
God bless you.
I'm sad to say that I did. And the first thing that comes to my mind is that Billy Madison quote of "We're all dumber for having listened to it."
Yeah.
I feel like both Staniel and I were pissed that we subjected ourselves to that. But I'll just briefly sum it up. The only positives from this game were for the Seahawks were that Zach Charbonnet looked amazing. Early in the game, he was averaging more than 5 yards per rush. He can fill in along with Kenny McIntosh admirably for K9, who is now out for the season. Walker is on IR. So that was the positive. Zach Charbonneau looked very good early. They drove up and down the field on their first drive, and it looked like they were going to score a touchdown. They had to settle for a field goal. Little did we know that there would only be 2 more total field goals in the game, and the Seahawks would win one of the sloppiest games and most boring games in recent memory, 6-3. Gino, after the game, said when asked what the Bears defense did to stop him, he first said, I think they dialed up the rain at the correct time. So Gino throwing a little shade. He said a win's a win. And then he said they are a good defensive unit. They played well. Hats off to them, blah, blah, blah. But this underscores the point. The Seahawks struggle to get in the end zone. They can drive the ball between the 20s. But once they get down to the red zone, they struggle a little bit, and it's something that they're going to have to fix. Now, like I said, a win's a win, but I was so disappointed with this game that I said to my esteemed co-host on Seahawks Sessions, Daniel Smooth, I said, if the Seahawks are lucky enough to make the playoffs, if the team that just played the Bears shows up, you may as well not even step off the plane, because I believe, and I said it on Seahawks Sessions, but if this game was against any other team other than the Bears, the Seahawks lose it. I mean, that was not a great performance. They seemed to go away from Charbonneau a little bit more. He was catching it out of the backfield in the beginning. He was running on the Bears. I don't know why they strayed away from him a little bit. They should have just kept going. And they weren't really pushing the ball down the field. Now, you could say the weather had something to do with it. I bet it did. But, man, what an awful game to watch. I hope for your sake you did not watch it.
I did not. I didn't.
Okay.
I was at the gym. I was at the gym getting a workout in because I haven't gotten a workout in quite a while. So I said,
that's
sister,
a much better use of your time.
Yes, it is. I said, you know what? Going to the gym. She's like, good for you. I'm like, thanks. So my dad sends me a text message at 10:28 p.m. on Thursday. And I quote, and pardon my language, what a miserable, shitty Thursday night football game, eh?
Yeah.
and I had to look at after he sent me that text, I had to look at the score, and I'm like, 6-3.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Now it was a baseball score.
Ugh. Mariners 6,
Yeah.
White Sox 3.
Yeah, it was terrible. We need to call the Chicago White Sox social media person again.
Oh my god,
they were
their
throwing
social
some
media
great
person
ones.
was the MVP last year. I don't care if they say Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Chicago White Sox social media person.
Yeah,
you're the true MVP in 2024 Major League Baseball.
but I'm crushing it.
I'm glad I didn't watch this game. The Bears continuing their disastrous slide. Started 4-2. They're now 4-12.
Yeah.
Seahawks season stays alive. Also, pour one out for the last Thursday night Thursday night football game in 2024.
Next year, no Thursday night football games until week 10.
Yeah, they ain't listening to you.
No.
Don't listen to me either. Julie from Michigan's chiming in saying, wow, that score is crazy. And she's also said, yeah, the Bears suck, and they almost beat the Lions.
Yeah.
60 saying, miserable. It was a battle of the kickers. Yeah, 9 points, 3 field goals. Gross. And also chiming in saying, the White Sox. Julie called me in saying, the White Sox are hot garbage. Yeah, they were. All right. We're going to take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we'll preview the rest of week 17 in the NFL. We're coming near the end of the season, so stay tuned and stand by for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. I'm drinking some Invader coffee for myself this morning. I believe, I can't remember which coffee tin I put it in, but I believe this is the cookie crumble I have.
Ooh, yeah.
And I got to see if they have whole bean Bad Santa back in stock, because if they do, I'm ordering some right now while we talk about Invader coffee.
I am currently drinking Bad Santa. It was the ground, unfortunately, but still good. I prefer whole bean, just like Ryan, but the
We only have
ground
Ryan
is
available.
tasting real good in the cup for me right now. I also have a bag of the cookie crumble. That is my personal favorite of the holiday blends, but all the holiday blends, and dare I say, all the blends of Invader Coffee, you're going to have a great time. Sometimes I get the K cups. They have their original blend, Invader Coffee, in the K cups, and they also have the Mexican chocolate blend. I have tried that. I enjoy that one. That one was a little too sweet for me to have daily. I save it for special occasions if I'm going to have that. They also have cold brew now that you can try.
Not only can you order it in individual cans, you can get a 12-pack of their cold brew for $40.99. But you can do us a favor by ordering some Invader coffee in the link in the description. That's our affiliate link, so we get a little bit cash back. But you could also save 15% off your order with promo code BELLYUP at checkout. So it's a little cashola. Get that coffee in. It'll take a little bit. They'll charge a little bit more for shipping, but guess what? It comes to you in a matter of days, not weeks. So it won't age. It won't age, which will be great, because there's nothing worse than a cup of coffee that's bitter. It just tastes like mold and dirt. This is fresh. This is air roasted. This is air roasted stuff. So it eliminates all that bitterness, all that acidity is gone from it's fresh roasted. I prefer the whole bean because I like to grind it in my grind. I put it in my grinder, grind it myself, makes a nice fresh cup of coffee. But again, use our affiliate link in the description on the Facebook side, the YouTube side, and the podcast side. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You get 15% off your order. Get yourself some of the best coffee you will ever have. And I don't say that because, we're getting a little kickback from the company. I say that because this is one of our, Invader Coffee is one of our longest running affiliate sponsors with no credentials required. I ordered some coffee from them first before I decided to bring them out as a sponsor. I'm going to say it. It's the best coffee I've ever had. Some of the best coffee I've ever had. It's some of the best coffee you'll ever have. So
yeah, delicious.
Order some today. All right, we're gonna go into, I guess you could say, the leftovers of Week 17 in the NFL, because we've got 3 games today. We've got a triple header today, Dustin, and tomorrow we've got only a handful of games. We've got Monday night, and then we got the Monday night game, because Week 17 is going to be crazy this year. Week 17 next year is going to be crazier because Christmas is on a Thursday night. So we're going to get I believe we're going to have a triple header next year. For the Thursday game for Christmas. So you got the 1 o'clock game, the 4:30 game, and the 8:20 or 8:15 or 8:30 game, probably on Christmas Day. We'll find out when the schedule is released for 2025. But for now, we're talking about what we're looking for in the most intriguing matchups of NFL Week 17. And my friend, I'm gonna have you lead off, my friend. Talking about the most intriguing matchup for you in Week 17 of the NFL.
Well, I am looking at 2 teams that have played each other before. And, this matchup still has, it's the Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings. It's 2 good teams. It's from a division that's been an absolutely bruising division this year. All the teams in the division are good, except for the Bears. All of them. It's been ridiculous. So both of these teams need to win this game, for playoff seeding and such. So this game has implications. It has stakes, and there's just a lot to like. Will the Packers defense be able to shut down Justin Jefferson at all? If they do, does Jordan Addison then go off? This is a game for Aaron Jones, a game against his former team, the team that let him go. I know they already played earlier in the season, but this is part of the reason that he probably chose the Vikings. He got to play the Packers multiple times a year. So will he be able to stick it to the Packers? Will Josh Jacobs be able to run on that Vikings defense, which started out the year unbelievable? They've kind of been up and down since then, but they're better than they have been in previous years. Brian Flores may actually get some head coaching consideration because of what he's done with that Vikings defense. Who will emerge as the Packers targets? Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, for that matter, as head coach of the Packers. They have an amazing December record. Will they be able to keep it going? December, historically, in their short time together, is where they get a little hot and they start to really pick it up. Will they do it again this year against a Vikings team? We've been waiting for Sam Darnold to regress and turn into a pumpkin, and he has regressed a little bit, but he's still keeping it going. Sam Darnold, really, I mean, he could be a candidate for comeback player of the year. Nobody expected this from Sam Darnold.
Nobody.
This is crazy. So there are so many little storylines within this game that it's got me super jazzed up to watch this one. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. And as Julie in the comment section says, I threw it for the Packers, and I am not happy about it. Yeah, because the Lions got to play the 49ers. And even though the 49ers, I got the wrong banner up. Most intriguing matchup. There we go. Like the Lions got to play the 49ers, who, even though they're out of playoff contention, and I can't remember the last time both the Niners and the Cowboys were out of playoff contention this early in the season, because they were both mathematically eliminated last week. But 49ers are still the 49ers. So, and it's also in San Francisco. So, it's going to be you go back to where the scene of the crime was back in January, when the Lions were up 24-3 at a half. Or 7, was it 20-3 or 24-3 at the half? And it all fell apart in the second half of that game. The NFC Championship. But that's not my most intriguing matchup. My most intriguing matchup, it's Denver and Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why.
Good one.
Denver, this is the middle of the pack for the Saturday games. I think this is the 4:00 game today. It's in Cincinnati. Denver had a chance to tighten their grip on their playoff seeding last week. They blew an 11-point lead. They blew their opportunity on a Thursday. So 9 days later, they got to travel to Cincinnati and play a team that's currently being single-handedly saved by Shady Joe Burrow. And their playoff chances are still alive. They still need a lot of help, but their playoff hopes are still alive for the playoffs. They're 7-8. They're playing better. Their defense has got to pick things up a little bit, but I think it's going to be an interesting game against Denver. So this is the most intriguing matchup because Denver is still in that last playoff spot, but they're playing a Cincinnati team who has been playing very well as of late after early season struggles. So this is in my mind going to be a very intriguing matchup to watch from the perspective of how it's going to affect the playoffs from here through next week, because a lot of games next week still have playoff implications, which brings us to our next category, Desperation City / Bounce Back City. And I'm going to start with this one. I forgot to actually put a game in this initially while we're getting ready, but when Dustin, I'm kind of glad Dustin kind of went off a little bit in our most intriguing matchup, but I chose Miami and Cleveland. The Dolphins are still in the hunt. they need a lot of help from the teams they need a lot of help from the Giants, the Broncos, and the Patriots. Because Indy, Denver, and Los Angeles, the Chargers, are the 3 teams currently in front of them. So they need to win. They need a lot of help. But they're playing in Cleveland. And something funny in Cleveland happened this weekend, yesterday. They announced that they actually restructured some of Deshaun Watson's contract at $250 million guaranteed. They restructured some of that contract so it's a lot more cap friendly because I think they're going to have some choices to make coming into next year. But it's going to be in Cleveland. It's going to be, let's see what the temperature is supposed to be because as of recent, Miami has not played well in games under 32 degrees. Oh, wow, it's favorable, but it's gonna be a high of 60 degrees.
Whoa, in Cleveland?
Cleveland on Sunday. It's a 4:05 start, but it's gonna be raining.
I wonder if Betty White from The Great Beyond has something to say about that because that's a little hot in Cleveland. All right, I'll see myself out for the rest of the show.
Oh, I don't have it. Anyway.
Man.
But I got you there. But it's going to be a rainy day. I'm just kind of I'm kind of curious to see if the Browns pass rush will get to Tua or if the Dolphins' quick passing game will affect the Browns. But now that I see this forecast, rain and 60, yeah, it's going to be over 32 degrees, but it's going to be raining, which means it's going to be sloppy. And if you're a team like the Dolphins, like kind of sling the rock around and get quick passes off, as we've seen the last couple of weeks on tight end screens and on wide receiver screens, ball might be tough to handle for Tua, especially if it's raining. So that's my Desperation City / Bounce Back City game. What about you, Dustin? Who you're looking at?
Well, I'm looking squarely at the NFC South for this one.
Ooh.
And I'm looking at one team in particular, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who once looked like they were in the driver's seat in that division, but they need to win this game against the Panthers to keep their playoff hopes alive. And I think, and I haven't looked at it, but I think even then they would need some help to really bolster their playoff chances. The Bucs have been on a little bit of a slide. They lost against the Cowboys last week, which really hurt them. And this Panthers team, even though last week they kind of took a step backwards, this Panthers team is not a pushover anymore, and they're starting to find their stride a little bit. Bryce Young seems to be growing up a little bit before our very eyes. And I'm going to shout out a special person that I think has been the forgotten man. I have been on this show. I've been talking about the return of the running back. I've been talking about the reemergence of the importance of a bell cow, quote unquote, running back. I said to you, last week, I said bell cows are back, and I forget what you texted me back, but it made me laugh. And,
it was the gift of a cow, a cowbell.
Yeah, but I will say that Chuba Hubbard has done very good this year. Very good. They extended him, and he's kind of, he rushed for like 150 yards last game. He has really had a great season, and he's kind of done it under the radar. And people kept talking about when would the Carolina Panthers running back that they drafted high this past year. His name is escaping me. I want to say Deontay Johnson, but I don't think that's right. That is not right. I don't believe. Jonathan Brooks, maybe. I think is it Jonathan Brooks? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
but he got injured, so the job has been Chuba Hubbard's. And also, prior to this, when he was healthy, Chuba was playing so well that they decided we're just going to stick with Chuba Hubbard here. But the Panthers, all this to say, the Panthers have some weapons. Adam Thielen has been a catching machine for Bryce Young down there. Xavier Legette has looked good at points. And the Panthers are playing like they have something to play for. And it looks like they're having a little bit of fun playing football for the first time in probably a long time. So this is not going to be an easy pushover game for the Bucs, and it's a game that they need. The Bucs desperately need this game. That's why I picked them for Desperation City.
Well, I got some bad news for you, Dustin.
Oh boy. Okay. All right.
As of this morning from Adam Schefter of ESPN, Panthers are expected to place Chuba Hubbard, who is listed as questionable for Sunday's game against the Buccaneers, on injured reserve due to a calf and knee injury.
Oh man, I didn't keep up with it. Well,
well, this was as of today, so it could come out this morning. So you didn't know, but I get your singing the praises of Chuba Hubbard because he had himself a nice game last week. I'm sorry, Edmonton, Alberta's own.
Oh,
Chuba
wow.
Hubbard. Yes. Played at Oklahoma State. He had a nice game last week, scored the game-winning touchdown, basically knocking out the Arizona Cardinals from playoff contention. So
yes.
So it helped your Seahawks. He helped your Seahawks. So that's, I guess, there's a reason why he's high in your list. That's another reason why. But yeah, this is Carolina Panthers been more competitive. I think that benching that Dave Canales put on Bryce Young. We're talking about how, oh my God, Bryce Young, this was a disaster, this and that. But since he came back, since he was put back into the lineup, you can definitely see he's been playing much, much better.
Yeah, and people, to his credit, people have said, they were talking about it on the broadcast last week. I caught a little bit of it via Red Zone. They were saying that despite the start that he's had to his career, he's kept a good face through it all. He's always got a smile. People are saying he's a good teammate. People are saying he wants to learn. He's open to he's receptive to coaching. So, hey, maybe this is going to work out. Yeah,
he had a really good game decent game last week against Arizona. 17-26, 156 yards, but threw 2 touchdowns. So he's finding his stride. Unfortunately, it's late, but that's okay. Sometimes you gotta go through rough patches in order to see the grassier paths. So yeah, good for him. Good for him. All right, self-hatred game of the week.
Ready and pull trash.
Yeah, these games are absolute dog water. Dustin, self-hatred game of the week.
This one's bad. I mean, we both have bad picks for it, but this one for me, it's the Raiders versus the Saints. And all I have, I'm going to let everybody in a little bit. All I have in the notes is oof. I have two offenses that have been largely incompetent this year, and I believe Alvin Kamara is out for this game. I'm not 100% sure if he is for the Saints or not. But two offenses that have been incompetent. Spencer Rattler, I believe, is under center for the Saints, and the Raiders.
Maybe.
The Raiders have been the Raiders. I mean, this is going to be brutal to watch, and both teams defensively have not been able to really stop anybody. So this is going to be a game of which team will suck worse. Basically, is what's going to happen. And cue it becoming the most entertaining game of the week, but I don't think it's going to happen. I thank goodness for Red Zone because I won't have to watch this game.
Yeah, this is the time of year where players go on where players go on IR, and it's tank season, baby. It's tank season. So yes, you were right. Alvin Kamara is out for this game. Derek Carr is out for this game, which is unfortunate because it would have been kind of a revenge game for him. And yes, Spencer Rattler is starting for the New Orleans Saints. My self-hatred game of the week, Titans Jaguars. A pair of 3-12 teams going on for pride and position and draft positioning. Yuck. And I just want to look at the schedule, NFL schedule for this week. There are 3 games Saturday. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Guys, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 day games. The night game, which is Atlanta at Washington, that's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah, that game.
Not saying sarcastically, this is actually honestly a very. I'm actually pretty excited for this game because we're gonna see Michael Penix versus Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
that'll be a fun game to watch. Also has playoff implications because Washington is still in the driver's seat for that last wild card spot, but Atlanta needs to win in order to stay in first place in the NFC South, because right now they're tied with Tampa, but they hold the advantage because they beat Tampa in both their games this year.
One of which was on Thursday Night Football, as you like to say.
It's true, but it was actually a really good game.
It was, yeah.
So, all right, players to watch. Players to watch on the offensive side of the ball. I got my eye on one former Penn State running back, Saquon Barkley. He's currently the NFL rushing leader. He's 268 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record. His first shot will be against a terrible Dallas team at home. And the Eagles can also clinch the NFC East with a win. But with Jalen out with a concussion, expect the force feeding of carries to Saquon Barkley. Also, it was interesting to see that Eric Dickerson said this week that he didn't think Saquon would break his rushing record. And you see all these headlines saying Eric Dickerson's rooting against Saquon Barkley against his rushing record. I'm like, how do you get that from I don't think he'll break my rushing record? How do you get that?
Oh man, there's some leaping Larrys out there.
Clickbait Clint's there. So, all right, players to watch for you, Dustin, on the offensive side of the ball.
On the offensive side, I'm watching one player, and I'm watching one player in particular, and I'm doing it for completely selfish reasons. I'll be watching Marvin Harrison Jr. of the Arizona Cardinals. The last time that the Cardinals played the Rams, he had a huge game. He didn't have that many receptions. He had 4 receptions, but they were big ones because he had 4 receptions for 132 yards and 2 TDs against this Rams defense. And I need him to do that again because we need the Cardinals to win, because then week 18, it's win and you're in for my Seattle Seahawks. So Marvin Harrison Jr., I got my eye on you. Talk to Kyler. I reached out to him. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to say, Kyler, you have a great receiver. Give him the ball. Give him the ball. And Marvin Harrison Jr., I hope you go off this week. Sorry, playmaker.
By the way, the true rushing champion is actually Herschel Walker. 1985 New Jersey Generals, 2,411 yards in 18 games.
Man.
To go along with 21 touchdowns. He was the MVP. I believe he was the MVP that season in the USFL. But it's not officially recognized because it's not an NFL record. So, but still, 2,411. Nothing to shake a stick out.
Yeah. And I think that Jimmy Johnson owes Herschel Walker a Christmas card for the rest of his life, because he was the piece of that trade that's sent to the Vikings and got the Cowboys all those draft picks that set up all those Super Bowl runs from the 90s that the Cowboys fans like to talk about like it was yesterday. But yeah, Herschel.
I have something for that. I think I have something for that.
Oh.
Wait, there it is. That's enough.
Yeah.
By the way, there has been one 2,000-yard rusher in the Canadian Football League.
Okay.
I know that.
I do. Let's see. Who is it?
It's nobody you'll know. But
yeah, it definitely
there has been one 2,000-yard rusher in the Canadian Football League. That was Mike Pringle in 1998 with the Montreal Alouettes. He ran for 2,065 yards. So 2,065 yards in 18 games in 1998. So,
oh man, he had a run going. It sounds like once he popped, he couldn't stop.
There it is. All right, let's get to players to watch on the defensive side of the ball.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
Well, I got 2 players that locks it up in this week in players to watch on defense. Kirby Joseph and Xavier McKinney. And with 2 weeks remaining, both men are tied in the league for the league lead in interceptions with 7 interceptions apiece. One of these men can move up in the category this week. Kirby Joseph's Lions go to San Francisco to play the 49ers, and McKinney's Packers go to Minnesota to play the Vikings in a very important game for playoff seeding. Also potentially for the division in the NFC North. Minnesota still a game behind, and I believe the Packers are 2 games behind. Don't quote me on that just yet. Let me just double check. Yeah, Minnesota's a game behind. Actually, Minnesota's tied, but right now Detroit holds a tiebreaker, and then Minnesota's 2 games behind the both of them. But lucky for the Green Bay Packers, you're getting a Toyota-thon version of Jordan Love. He's played very well during Toyota-thon. What about you, Dustin? Who you watching on defense?
All right, so this pick is a little outside the box, but if we go back to my Desperation City game, that's where my pick for player to watch on defense, or should I say coach to watch on defense, Todd Bowles.
Hey,
I'm bringing you to the forefront. You're known as a defensive genius. We saw you scheme the life out of the Kansas City Chiefs back at that Brady Bucks Super Bowl run. We've seen you scheme teams to death before. You need to do it this week against the Carolina Panthers. I thought you'd be able to pull it off against the Cowboys last week, but you really didn't have anything in the chamber for them. We need it this week. We need a scheme, a defensive scheme. So I'll be watching the Bucks defense, but more importantly, Todd Bowles. What does he have dialed up in preparation for this Carolina Panthers offense and Adam Thielen? Because Adam Thielen, he's been finding ways to catch the ball. Adam Thielen still has. Do you think Adam Thielen will get another contract with another team based off of his performance in Carolina? Because people thought he was old and washed up, but he has been catching the daylights out of the ball. He's been everywhere for the Carolina Panthers.
I've got a feeling that he probably will.
Oh, man, you're on my wavelength. Thanks for joining me. But yeah, Todd Bowles, I'm looking at you because, like I said, you're known as a defensive mastermind, and you really haven't had it the last couple of weeks. You need to dial up something special this week to shut down the Carolina Panthers.
That's true. That's true. All right. Before we get out of here, let's wrap up these comments here. Julie from Michigan saying, "Got to get my jabs in as a Tigers fan about the White Sox being hot garbage." Also says we don't bring up the NFC Championship from last year. She's still in pain, but she's saying the Lions play on her birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday,
Julie from Michigan. And then Six saying, nice soundbite of our tribal chief, Wiesel Hefe. Yes, that was from our movies series.
That was from No Ticket Required.
It's from the Ticket Required. We reviewed the program and talked about that one defensive player.
He was roiding. He was roiding like a madman.
Who was roiding like a madman and assaulted a booster's daughter.
Yeah. And then the piece of garbage dad didn't press any charges.
He didn't charge because of the booster.
Because, in Wise's words,
hang on, it's here.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
And Kevin Wilson chiming in just about as we're wrapping up, saying, "Happy Saturday, fellas! Happy Saturday to you, Kevin. We appreciate you tuning in. But we're gonna get out of here. But before we do that, let's just remind people about our social media channels, which are on Facebook, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, scarcely use TikTok, @NoCredsREQ, and youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, Tell wants to say to join us. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast and get notified, whether on Twitter or on YouTube. That way you know when we go live, when new videos are posted, and when we have show announcements, like, again, our year-end review. Hey, it's been a while since we've seen Tag Along in these streams. There he is.
Hello there, sir.
Yeah, last week was interesting with him because he's trying his hardest to get a hairball up and also having some other issues, but he's good now. He's joined us today, but he's good to go with us.
I'm glad
All
he's
right.
okay.
Yes, us too, because we did not want to bring him to the vet because he hates the vet with a white hot burning passion of 1,000 suns. He's about to join us on the screen. There he goes. There's his tail. All right. Also, rate and review on the podcast side. Subscribe to the podcast. Rate and review. A 5-star rating would be very, very helpful. Also, a review from a podcast platform where you can review. And if you're on Spotify, leave a comment. You can leave comments in the show in the show link, and on every episode. That way we know we know when you're listening to the show. So, also forgot to mention the Tigers. Julie's Tigers signed Gleyber Torres to a 1-year deal yesterday. So Gleyber Torres will no longer be a Yankee as of 2025. So hate to see him go, but sometimes you just need kinder pastures. And also engage with the show, whether you're watching live. We had plenty of comments rolling in today. Thank you to everyone who joined us, who commented on the live show. If you're watching on the replay on YouTube or on Rumble, engage with the show, leave a comment. No thirsty hoes, please. We cannot afford either your OnlyFans link or your services. I'm sorry. Please don't leave us comments saying, hey, you've got a great channel. I can help you boost your listens and your views. Give me money. We don't have money. We are poor.
Also, stop liking old posts, please. If you're gonna like stuff, like the current week.
Yeah.
I got a notification. I'm like, oh, so and so has liked your post on Instagram. I go to it. I'm like, oh, it's one of these. They liked the episode with Cool McCain. What did we have him on? Like week 6?
We have it on to October.
I know. I mean, it was a great app. Don't get me wrong, but still, it's like, come on, get current.
Yeah, I know, right? Come on. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. We'll be back on Monday at 7:30 Eastern, or whenever. Talk about Week 17 in the NFL, except for Monday's games, because Monday, who's playing on Monday? Does it really matter? Oh, Detroit, San Francisco was on Monday. I'm sorry. I thought it was a Saturday. I thought it was a Sunday game. My apologies.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Oh man.
But we'll be back on actually at 7:05 on Monday, because I kind of want to watch this game. This looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Because Detroit's my spirit team this year, because the Jets are trash. But yeah, we're back on 7:05 on Monday, talking about Week 17 in the NFL. Before we go into the new year, cool things coming on the pike for 2025. So you'll find out what they are. I'll lay some about on Monday. So until then, thanks for joining us. Have a safe, fun weekend watching all the football, and we'll be back on Monday night, 7:05 Eastern. Talk all about it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Have a great Saturday.
Good morning, everybody.
There it is.